Hello, and welcome back to the final part of this tutorial where I'll be showing you how to build your own amazing website using Replit. Previously, we have covered HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Today, we will be continuing our focus on JavaScript. As usual, let's begin with a short quiz. Which HTML attribute would you use to run JavaScript code when that element is clicked? And the answer is C. In JavaScript, we use camel case. In CSS, we join lowercase words with a dash. And in HTML, we join lowercase words together without anything separating them. What is the value of the variable C in the following example? And again, the answer is C. Here we are concatenating two strings without any spacing, and we are not adding two numbers together in this example. Which is the correct code to change the background color of a HTML element with the ID header to red? And the answer is A. In examples C and D, we did not use camel case, and examples B and D, we missed the closing quotation mark after specifying the ID of the element. Is JavaScript the same as Java? The answer is no. They are both very different languages. Which is the correct code to call a JavaScript function? And the answer is D. We provide the function name and then just an opening bracket and a closing bracket. Inside the bracket, we put any arguments that we want to provide to the function. Let's now create a simple high-low game on our website. So we're just going to give it some text. And then we're going to create an input element where the user can input in their guess. We're going to set the type to number, and we're going to give it a placeholder saying input your guess. We're going to close the tag, and we should also give this an ID, so in our JavaScript we can reference the value provided by the user. And now we should just create a button for when the user wants to submit that guess. An on-click event where we're going to call a JavaScript function, and our JavaScript function is going to be called submit guess. And then the text for this button, just submit your guess. Now, since we have two inline elements, they've positioned right next to each other. Let's put a BR element so that they appear on a separate line. And there's not much space between them, so I'm going to just put another one there. And that should fix the design a bit. So now when you click the button, let's code its function. And let's now get the number which the user has just guessed. So we're going to create a variable called guess, and we're going to set it to the value of the user's input. So first we should get the ID of that element. So let's now create a variable to store the actual number which the user is trying to guess. We'll call it correct number, and in the meantime, let's set it to a specific value. Later on, we'll change it to pick a random value. So currently it's just set to 50, and now let's check if the user's guess is equal to the correct number. So if guess is equal to correct number, we should probably output some text here onto the page. So that would involve changing an element's text. And to do that, we'll just need to create a new element. So let's create an element, give it the ID of result, and currently we'll just leave its text blank for now. And now if the guess is equal to the correct number, let's change the element's text. And we're going to set it to correct. Well done. Now we're going to create an else if to test if the user's guess is greater than the correct number. So the user has guessed a number higher than the target. If so, we're going to output too high. And finally, we just need an else statement for if it's less than the correct number. You could also put else if here if you wanted to and say guess is less than, or you could just use else here. Let's run that and see. So let's pick a guess of 20, too low, a guess of 60, too high, and now a guess of 50, and just right. Let's now set the value of the variable correct number to a random number. To do this, I'm going to create a function, and I'm going to call it generate random number. And then the output of this function is going to be a random number, so we're going to return the output. And for now, we're just going to set it to 50, and we're going to set the variable correct number to the output of this function. So this will actually result in the exact same result. But now let's figure out how to make this return a random number instead of 50. So for random numbers in JavaScript, we use math.random. And this will return any random number between 0 and 1. But this isn't a whole number. So to make an integer, which is a whole number, we can use math.round and then math.random. So this will return either 0 or 1. So now that we can generate a random number between 0 and 1, let's adapt this to generate a random number between 0 and 100. So here we're going to do math.round, math.random, and to generate a number between 0 and 100, we're going to multiply it by 101. Note that we have added 1 to 100 so that 100 can be included as a potential number to be picked. Let's now adapt our random function to generate a number between 1 and 100 instead of 0 and 100. To do this, we're going to add 1 to the end, and then we are just going to set this to 100. Our game now works as expected, and a different correct number is picked every single time that we run the game. When we input the correct number, let's make it so it picks a new correct number as well. To do this, we are going to set the value of the variable correct number to the output of the function generate random number again. There is a chance that it could pick the same number again, and this is a 1 in 100 chance. Most of the time though, it would probably not. Now let's also set the value of user's guess to just a blank value so that it clears it so the user can enter in a new guess again. So let's just cheat it and take a look at the correct number, and then let's input it in, and you'll see it says correct, well done, clears it and picks a new correct number for us to start the game again. Let's now add a timer to our game, so the user will have to guess the correct number within the time limit. To do so, firstly I'm going to create some text to display the seconds remaining. I'm going to put a span element inside the paragraph element so we can change just this part of the text, and this part of the text will be the seconds remaining. So we don't need to change the seconds remaining text, we only actually need to change the number. And 20 seconds seems perfectly reasonable. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to create a variable to also store the amount of seconds remaining. And we're going to use a function called setInterval. And for this function, we're going to provide two arguments. The first is going to be a function, and the second is going to be a number in milliseconds. So we're going to provide 1000, which is 1 second. So 1000 milliseconds is 1 second. And what this will do is this function will run every second now. We can also use a function called setTimeout, and then this function will run after 1 second, but it will only run once, not every 1 second. Say we wanted to clear this interval, we would just store it in a variable. I'm going to store it in a new variable called timer, and then we just use a function called clear interval, and then provide the name of the variable referencing the interval which we want to clear. We could also use this for timeout, and we would just use clear timeout. So now when this function actually runs, let's just reduce the value of the variable seconds remaining by 1. And then all we need to do is we just need to update the display. This works perfectly, apart from the seconds remaining can become negative. So what we need to do now is we need to make a check if the seconds remaining is equal to 0. In this case, we will want to restart the game. We are also restarting the game if you get the guess correct. So instead of duplicating this code, we're just going to make this into a new function. And we're going to call it restart game. And we're going to give the correct number a new random number, and we're going to reset the user's guess to just a blank value. So if the seconds remaining is equal to 0, let's restart the game. And what we should also do is we'll need to give the user more time. We'll reset the timer, so seconds remaining equals 20 again. And then just update the display. And I'm going to add some new text to say, new game, good luck. Now this should work perfectly. So this goes 50, too high, 25, too high, 15, too high, 10, correct. Well done for completing the whole of this multi-part web development tutorial. I hope you found it useful and will continue to make your own websites. If you need any help, please send a message in the comments. Take a look at the websites people have made and published to the Replit community to help you further learn website development and gain some inspiration.